America, finally, the time you've all been waiting for. You may have a lot of questions, but after tonight's special, you'll be able to answer all of them. Tonight, we have several surprises for you, one of them being the insight of what happened this morning in the White House briefing, when our reporters confronted the United States Chief of Staff regarding the Apollo launch and how USA allegedly faked it in order to gain international power.
Mr. Mulvaney! Mr. Mulvaney! Mr. Mulvaney, the information agency used to say that your space program was a measure of how able you were to compete with international rivals. So is this why you faked it? Because you wanted a reputation for performance and power?
Absolutely not. We have nothing to prove.
Mr. Mulvaney! Mr. Mulvaney!
So how do you feel about China and Russia taking the lead in the space race? Aren't you afraid people will start perceiving international relations differently and those powers will rise above the United States of America?
The actions China is doing are things that the US has already done in the past. As for Russia, their space program is just in a chaotic condition, and they are in no shape to take on a major challenge. We refuse to accept a future in the space race written by the enemies of freedom. Make no mistake, we are in the space race. Today, enabling technologies will arrive, and this technology is what will allow us to go back to the moon. Because of the work of the American space enterprise and other entities, we have the technology to return to the moon and renew American leadership in human space race exploration and get back where we belong, at the top.
But this is not all, America. We also have an exclusive interview with Eva Arrucilea, who wrote the Int case study for the European Commission regarding the Apollo project, and will be answering questions from fellow international relations students around the world. Hello, Eva. Nice to meet you and welcome to CNN. We are so glad you can be with us tonight discussing your case study and what is hopefully the truth behind all of this chaos.
Hello to you too. I am really excited to be here with all of you tonight. And I hope you can learn from my case study and all of the European Commissions. First, I would like to point out that the space race isn't just one thing. There were many firsts. During this race, the first international ballistic missile in 1957, the first artificial satellite, also known as Sputnik 1 in 1957, the first solar-powered and communication satellites, Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, etc. The beginning of the race created a furor worldwide, since people were excited to see mankind taking a leap towards progress, and for some years now, the United States and Russia were in the lead. Well, we know the United States competes with Russia and China for international coverage and dominance. I mean, it's no secret that before Apollo 11, the Soviets were ahead of the United States in space coverage, and dramatic accomplishments in the space are identified as major indicators of the world's leadership. And of course, the United States knew that, and from the beginning, they refused to be realistic and accept that other nations tend to align with the country they believe will be the next world leader. Therefore, they exploited their advanced position in certain areas such as communications and navigations to position themselves as an international regime. In that time, the American public didn't know how big the Apollo project stood in the space race and the importance of such leadership in the eyes of the international community. So the important question that should be asked may not be how the space shuttle program was implemented, but instead why the U.S. needed it in the first place.
Okay, so are you ready to answer questions for fellow students around the world?
Of course.
Okay.
Hello, Ms. Lucia. I studied international relations in AFI, and I wanted to know how does the international politics of space represent the competition of power between great powers?
Aww, I'm so glad that you're interested in this topic. So, classical realism can help comprehend better what legacy this advanced space mission embodied. Since a successful space program can contribute by confirming capabilities in other important areas such as technological expertise and missiles, in the international point of view, all of that equals world dominance. Also, considering that the first time mankind was looking to compete in the arena of space, this dominance became a matter of pride between the United States and Russia, but only at first.
Right, since the space race includes other competitors right now, right?
The arena of the space race looks completely different than 50 years ago. Right now, although the United States and Russia are the pioneers of space mission, India's space program has expanded significantly too. They sustained good relationships with the two great powers and now have become the best research institution in the world and have now launched their second unmanned mission to the moon. China, however, even though they have a $5 billion investment in space exploration, there's no comparison to the US $22 billion investment. However, China has its definitely eyes on the prize, and are planning to be the second country to put a man on the moon. Since several people still live in the age of Apollo, they refuse to acknowledge another nation as a leader in the race. However, since China recently has been the first country who landed a probe on the lunar South Pole and is actually aiming to establish a permanent presence on the moon, it's insane because no one has ever done that before, and it takes space exploration to another level.
Wow, that is insane. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, let's go to another silly question, okay?
Hello, Miss Ari Lucia. You have been talking about how all of these reflect the fight between the United States and Russia for dominance, so I will be eager to know how the world or people ensure that this outer space won't become the battleground of these superpowers.
The space battle is not only for pride purposes, it was much more about the military space program and technological superiority, which equals national security. So the idea was to fight the battle without actually having a war. This question is very interesting because, as a matter of fact, the UN had to step in a few years ago, creating the Outer Space Treaty, which limits the moon and other celestial bodies for peaceful purposes, which means no conducting military experiments, no weapons of mass destruction, and no military bases of any kind. More than 100 countries signed this, but however, the Soviet Union was unwilling to sign the treaty at first because they thought it would restrict dominance against the US. So they were actually thinking about using space as a battlefield. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Oh my god. The lengths people go to for power, right? Eva, and how do you think this trend and never-ending Cold War will influence international relations in the future?
The power of ambition is definitely a crazy thing, and the lengths that people are going to is just insane. So people, as I said, are willing to go to great lengths. Well, for starters, I want to mention how the Cold War has affected international relations in the past. For example, in the 1950s, there was a replacement of a multi-power polar to a bipolar former power. Having this affected surrounding powers too, and most importantly, limited the sovereignty of allies. Now, talking about the future, the ongoing space race in Cold War will not only continue to affect international relations among countries, but also the diplomatic relationships. This state of tension, however, also displays the creation of ideas, norms, and international organizations and roles of transnational movements, all of whom are part of international relations, and they affected drastically.
So, the real question here is, was all this to set a national goal as set by JFK, or was it all to achieve an international goal? The answer will be up to you, but it turns out the seal the United States and Russia had to outperform one another in the space race was beneficial for scientific progress, and has helped humankind understand what is going on outside the beautiful planet of us. So, who is your big power? Whoever you are, wherever you are, we invite you to answer our after special poll. Who do you believe will win this never-ending race, and who would you align with if it came to choosing between these great powers? Vote now in CNN.com. Good night, America. Thanks for watching.